reflected upon the years, my earlier years when I came to First Baptist. I want to thank God for these ministers, Dr. Carson and Dr. Young. Amen. I was a fairly young man then, and as I reflected, I realized that my memory had gotten a little foggy. And so I had to make some notes as I reflected back upon these years that I have spent with Sister Ball. I came here, started out preaching here when the church came vacant. I preached here for about 4 months before I was actually elected pastor. And in those 4 months, I got to know Sister Ward pretty well, because each time I would come on the second Sunday of each month and issue the Lord's Supper. And I got to know her in those 4 months. And by the time I was elected pastor, I knew her well, because it was time that I was here. She would come up and she would start a conversation with me. And when I got elected, she clapped her hand and she said, "I knew you were going to be our pastor the day first time I saw you." Amen. And from that day on, I grew closer to Sister Ward. I don't know how it came about, but I ended up picking her up on Sunday morning and taking her back home. I met her husband a couple of times, but he wasn't a talker. He'd shake my hand and he'd go straight back in the house. And I invited him to come to church, but never made it. And I had the opportunity to do his eulogy when he passed away. And I felt like I knew him through Sister Ball. Because she would talk about her husband, Governor Ball. She often talk about her children. She loved her children. She told me about her daughter, Vanilla, who was over in Fort City at the time in a nursing home. I would go over and visit her, and she was much like Sister Ball. She was a very creative person. Her room at the nursing home was well decorated. She had pictures that she had drawn herself. She had woodlots all around her room that she had made with her hands. She was very creative. And I also got to do her youth. And when this opportunity came, and I would have been disappointed if I not had the opportunity to say goodbye to Sister Ball. Because she was a person that if you ever met her, you would never forget her. I knew a lot of people in West Memphis that knew Sister Ball, and all of them had nothing but good things to say about her. This journey moved her address for a lot of years. Every time I would see her at the grocery store or somewhere, she would always ask me about Sister Ball. Sister Ball touched a lot of lives. 90-something years that she was here on earth. She showed a lot of loyalty to this church, no matter what was going on in the church. She never got mad. You couldn't make her mad to a childhood friend of Sister Boy. And on the way back from church, I would drop them off, and every Sunday they would be going back and forth. I would just have a ball between those two. You would think they don't fight when they're talking, but that's just the way they communicated with each other. And you, Sister Boy, she acted like she was fussing sometimes, but that was her way and on and fussing and fussing. And finally, Sister Louise Washington said, "Don't be talking to my pastor like that." Sister Boy said, "He my pastor too." They argued back and forth all the way to Sister Louise's house as to who pastor I was. And I know that, every year she had my house. Where you get those pecans from? How you keep pecans year round? I said, I gotta remember that she supplies me with pecans. Some of y'all call pecans, whatever you call them, but she kept me supplies. She was that type of person. She was always wild. I went in the house and they were still talking. And they talked until the phone went dead. That was the type of person she was. She loved to talk, she loved to laugh, and she loved to have fun. That was the type of person that she was. But she also liked to feel bad about not wearing the hat that she was wearing. And she was a sensitive person, real sensitive. People hurt her feelings real easy. She said, "Boy, they don't like my cooking." And I had to convince her that this was for the best for everybody, but her feelings would hurt when we stopped letting everybody bring their own dish, because she loved to cook. And she used to send my mother to go. We need more people like her. Man. That are committed to the church. Nothing that she would not do for this church. Man. She did all she could for this church. And when the Lord here at church, we was having our annual picnic. And I was walking her to the truck where she could get in. She snatched that person and said, "Oh, no, you don't." And I said to myself, it looked like she was willing to cry before she turned her loose, that purse. Out of money or what, but I know whatever it was, she wouldn't let go. She wouldn't let go. And that was her faith. She never would let go of her faith. She believed in God. People, they can, because she was always upbeat about whatever was going on in her life. And she had gave me a girlfriend, and she called her Lucy Lou. She called me and tell me, "Your mother," because we love her. And when you love a person so much, you tend to grieve more. It's about how much you love them. That is the rate of what you grieve together. Because the pain is so great, they cannot bear it. But grief is a natural emotion when you look for a shell be comforted. I want to say to you in words of encouragement this evening, let not your heart be troubled. My burdens are light. So you don't have to carry this load by yourself, because God will help you through the darkest hour of your days. She was just a traveler, traveling through this land. God loaned her to us for a short period of time. Amen. He never promised that your mother would be here forever. But the time that you had with your mother, you can cherish those memories. But her soul will rest in eternity with Jesus Christ. Amen. And if you want to see her again, I'm not going to tell you like some people would say that when they get to her home the other day, because he knew that she ain't got time. He knew that her body was giving out, and pain and sickness and worry